Planet Mission Part 1 by David Claiborne, as read by the author. New chapters every Monday. The full novel is available on Amazon.com and other online retailers. Links in the description. Chapter 26. A Technicality. "Alex, we have a problem," Jonathan said. He rode up to the camp on an Arcuda, joining the group lounging outside the shelter. Molly had come to visit again, so she, Waters, Tommy, and Junebuck looked up at his arrival. "What is it?" Waters asked. "The APOC we killed was not the one you captured. I just received the results of the tests on the pelt. It doesn't match the DNA of the APOC you were holding. Your APOC is still loose," Jonathan said. "Show me," Junebuck said. Jonathan pulled out his phone and with a flick sent the data to Junebuck. He hobbled to his workbench and with a gesture projected the data onto the side of the shelter. Molly came to stand behind him. "He's right," Junebuck said. "Here are the data we collected on the APOC we captured, and here's the analysis of the pelt that Jonathan just brought. They're different," Molly said. "There's still an APOC in the area. We have to go find it now," Jonathan said. He pulled out his phone and began searching. "Has anyone seen Jazzy?" It was Bo. "Bo," Waters said. "Where have you been?" "Hello, Bo," Molly said. He ignored her. "I don't think we've seen much of either of you recently," Junebuck said, answering the question. "We took the rover to the top of a mountain to try and get a signal on its transmitter. I haven't seen Jazzy since we got back," Bo said. "There, a distortion not far from here. We have to go now," Jonathan said, interrupting any further questions. As if summoned by thought alone, several Arcuda came to them. They mounted and followed Jonathan's direction. Tommy started his flyer and flew above them. Jonathan phoned the mayor. Within a few minutes, the mayor and other colonists joined them on Arcuda with supplies. "It's only a couple of miles away. We should find it soon," Jonathan said. "How far is that?" Waters asked. "Just over 3 kilometers, Tommy's voice came piping over their phones. "I don't see anything from up here. It's all tree cover. I'm going to come down." It only took a few minutes to close in on the signal. The Arcuda raced through the woods with a speed and agility Waters still found difficult to comprehend. When they were within 100 meters, Jonathan stopped them. They dismounted, but Waters spurred his Arcuda on ahead of the rest. "Alex!" Jonathan called after him, yelling as quietly as he could through closed teeth, but he paid no attention. Waters rode into a small, sandy-bottomed clearing, but saw nothing. He put on his glasses. He was right on top of the distortion, but saw and felt nothing. The Arcuda spun around in place, anxious itself, but also spurred by Waters' confusion. The others ran into the clearing behind him. Waters began to speak, but the mayor pressed a finger to his lips and grabbed his ankle. He pointed to a tree on the far side of the clearing. It was massive like the others, but Waters saw nothing there. No APOC or sign of the APOC. "What? It's just a dead tree," he whispered. The mayor shook his head and motioned for Waters to dismount. The Arcuda left the clearing as soon as he dismounted, and the very air around them became silent. Together they approached the tree. As they drew near, Waters began to see. The tree was dead indeed. Skeletal branches towered high over them. The whole tree was naked of bark and bleached by exposure to the sun. The sap and resin had settled in the wood and preserved it hard like iron. Wind-blown sand had polished the trunk smooth. They walked around to the other side and found a hollow there, carved by years, decades even, of elements. They looked inside. Below the hollow, the dirt had worn away and broken through the top of a cavern which was all blackness, and into which they could not see. "Down there?" Waters whispered. "Down there," the mayor said. "Glasses." "We have to go in? We'll be at a complete disadvantage," Tommy said. "Besides needing the glasses to see, we have no idea where it is or the layout of the cave." "We have no choice. We can't give it time to flee again. It may already be too late," Jonathan said. They all put on their glasses and prepared their lances. Tommy walked to the hollow and kicked a stone into the hole. It landed with a plop. "It can't be that deep," he said. He lowered himself over the edge and dropped himself down while the others watched. "It's just a few feet. The bottom is sandy. We should be able to get in without a problem," he said. "Waters, Jonathan, you must go to complete your responsibility in this," the mayor said. Neither of them argued. "As for the rest of you, they will need help, but you know the danger. Only volunteer if you are willing. Junebuk, you should remain here, the mayor continued. Junebuk looked disappointed but did not protest. I'll go, Molly said. Several colonists stepped forward as well. I'll go too, the mayor said. Waters was surprised but grateful. Tommy helped them down into the hollow. Everything was complete darkness just a few feet beyond the entrance. They could see with their glasses, but it was a strange sensation. They showed everything in stark chiaroscuro, all outlines and shapes in red and blue. There was no gradient or shadow to show depth or form. It was not a cavern after all. The walls were dirt, not stone. The trees' petrified roots extended in all directions around and above them and supported the walls and ceiling like arteries, long dead and hardened. How do you make something like this? Waters asked. There's no water, no wind. You carve it, Jonathan answered. It would take years to make something like this, Waters said. Think on what that means, the mayor said. They walked deeper, following the only path before them. Molly placed a hand on the wall as she looked at the data her glasses gave her. Nothing is alive here, she said. I mean nothing. There are no worms, no beetles, no ants, no roots or tubers, nothing you would expect to find in soil. She tapped her glasses again. Not even bacteria. The earth is truly dead here. We must be right under the clearing by now, Tommy said. Hush, the mayor said. Something's there. They heard something like cloth rubbing together. They did not so much see as feel that the APOC was there. Waters did not hesitate. He took his lance, and drawing his arm back, he hurled the lance forward into the darkness. He was not experienced, but he caught the APOC by surprise. His throw connected and struck the APOC in the back between the shoulder blades where the lance clanged off its spines. From the wound the lance left, a tiny stream of light flowed forth and dripped to the ground, where it left glowing splotches in the dirt, the only light in the darkness around them. The APOC shrieked. They covered their ears at the terrible sound. Together! Stay together! The mayor called. His voice boomed in the cavern and cut through the APOC's scream. They gathered back to back, their lances pointed outward. Tommy held his rifle up and ready. The glasses aren't showing it, he said. It will only show on the glasses if it camouflages. It doesn't need to do that down here, Jonathan said. Watch for the blood. It will give it away, the mayor said. Watch above you. This is a 3D environment, Tommy said. Several of the colonists pointed their lances up. In the darkness, their fear amplified every sound. Every breath of air, every shuffled foot, every creak and groan, real or imagined, became an enemy ready to strike from any direction or no direction. They began to lunge out at perceived shadows with the points of their lances. Keep your heads. The APOC is dangerous, but it's mortal, the mayor said. Watch the exit. Don't let it get around us, Tommy said. Something fell on my head, shouted one of the colonists. He dropped his lance and frantically brushed dirt from his hair. Hold on to your weapon, the mayor said, thrusting the lance back into his hands. There! Over there! They began to move frantically. Their formation broke. Stay together, the mayor shouted, his voice reverberating through the cavern. Where is it? I can't see it. Dear God, is there more than one? The missionaries and colonists grew frantic and were on the verge of panic. Be still for a moment, Molly said. Her voice dispelled the fear from among them. The APOC harms the body, but it feeds on the mind. It's affecting us even now. Be still in your mind and heart. Take my hand, she said to Waters. Waters took her hand and placed his other hand on Jonathan's shoulder. One by one, they reached out to each other. The human contact gave them strength and courage, and they calmed. I don't think it's moved at all, Molly said. Everyone together, step toward the glow on the floor, the mayor said. They took one step forward, then another. They moved as one group toward where the APOC's blood glowed on the ground, lances at the ready. A hiss came out of the darkness, seemingly from everywhere at once, and threatened their composure. Stand together, Molly said. They took another step forward, and a shriek pierced their ears through the silence again. Claws scraped against dirt as the APOC charged. Colonists hurled their lances at the sound. Suddenly the cadence of its steps changed, and a thud landed against the wall. It's climbing the wall, Jonathan shouted. It's making for the exit, Tommy said, and opened fire. Flashes from his rifle's muzzle lit the APOC's tunnel like a strobe. They hurled their lances at the after-image as the APOC dodged their missiles. One of Tommy's bullets found its mark, and a spray of liquid light covered the walls. The APOC stumbled but continued. A trail of tiny globules of light fell and betrayed its location as it ran back toward the tree. Don't let it escape, the mayor shouted. Waters ran forward to the outline of his lance where it lay in the dirt after his throw. The others fumbled in the dark and searched for their own lances. Tommy stopped firing to reload. Waters grabbed his lance and charged past the group. He followed the tiny drops of light in the dirt back to the entrance where he saw the creature, a shadow just below a shaft of light from the tree hollow to the outside. He drew his arm back and let the lance fly. It hurtled through the air and lodged in the apoc with a sickening sucking sound. Enraged, the apoc turned and ran toward him. Then, as if something inside switched off, it stumbled and collapsed. It turned its hideous head toward Waters and gave a defiant howl before a throw from behind silenced the beast with finality. Jonathan came up from behind him. "I think that makes this one technically mine," he said. They all sighed with relief. With a smile, Jonathan slapped Waters on the back.